So I just learned this is going on YouTube, and any cussing that I may have proffered up in the middle of it is unusable. So have this wonderful sound instead.
Hey there, everyone. Parks Alza here with Inven Global, and I'm joined by... I almost called you Jed. I talked to him earlier. I'm joined by Dash. We're doing some interviews from across, staying at home, staying safe.
Across the net.
Across the net, on the interwebs, downloading Zoom so that we could talk to each other.
I know. I was forced to download this program today, which is great.
Well, now you have it for all the other people who will interview you at some point. Hopefully we can see you face to face again soon. But.
Sooner rather than later. That's the goal, right? But we'll do this as long as we need to.
Yeah, and so that's kind of the topic I have for you. Mm-hmm. Your job as a host is to have a list of points and get people to talk about certain things and, make sure that we actually cover topics, and everyone has their own ideas, and sometimes it gets chaotic and it's really high energy sometimes and low energy other times. Mm-hmm. That's so much easier to do in person. So I want to kind of explore things that you've been doing, the way your job has changed, like weird stuff that's come up. Have you had to practice it? Like all of this stuff.
Yeah, it's a tough question to answer because you're right, and you've hit the nail on the head with the fact that it is a major shift, and it does undoubtedly make just communication between people more difficult when you have to do it. Even like the way we're doing it right now, there's going to be a slight bit of lag. I maybe am not going to pick up on all of the same nonverbal cues that I would in person. So that without a doubt, it adds a level of difficulty. But what's interesting about that is that I think the response to it, the proper response, is to ignore the increase in the level of difficulty, in a sense, and just kind of keep chugging along. I think I would do myself a bigger disservice if I hung on to the fact that, this is going to be harder, and I need to recreate the exact same thing I do normally in the studio here, and hold myself to that standard and blah, blah, blah. So you're going to get bogged down in all of that then. You're going to get weighted down by this unrealistic expectation of what your performance should look like. And instead, kind of the way I've thought about it is like, just accept the given circumstances, right? The audience is aware. We're not fooling you guys that we're in the studio. It'd be one thing if they said, look, James, we're going to get you a green screen. We're going to get everyone a green screen. We're going to build out this virtual desk, and we're going to put you guys, and we're going to file you behind the desk, and we're going to try and play it off like we're in the studio. Okay. Then my goal might be different. But as it stands, it's the at-home LCS broadcast, right? Like we've all embraced the scuffiness, right? As is said. And so in the same vein with my job, I think with all of us, it is not just host, exclusive. This is for all the guys. I think it's very clear that the best way to come at it is like, yeah, my dog is, he's sitting on the bed behind me, wrestling with a toy. Whatever. I'm at home, man. This is how it goes. Yeah. And it kind of, in some senses, brings us back to what is so great about esports already, what incepted esports, which was community, in more localized areas and regional areas, in back alley scuffed productions, and it blossomed into this major thing. So to take this production style and just kind of revert it back, but to still have the popularity and the viewership that, we do now, it's such a trip, but in a sense, I think it's fun. So I'm kind of just throwing myself into that. And saying like, look, whatever happens, and we're going to roll with the punches as they come. Now, understanding this is super long-winded, when I think a little bit more about, okay, it's great to have that mindset. You still got to execute on the day. That's where we have talked a little bit about the adjustments for me specifically being that you may have noticed in the last couple of weeks, I have been a lot more direct with who I am speaking to. Mm-hmm. So very often you'll hear me say something like, and Mark Z, I'm coming to you with this. Or Azael, thoughts on that. Probably, Azael just talked about this. What do right? So I'm letting the guys know well in advance who I'm coming to. Where normally it's an eye contact thing. When I'm on the desk in the studio, I receive the info from guy A, start my transition, look at guy B, end my thought, and he knows Dash is staring me straight in the face.
Yeah.
It's my turn. He's coming to me. He's looking to me for it. So just that small verbal adjustment of saying, like, look, where it can come anywhere in the statement, but I can say, hey, Azael, coming to you next on the topic of champion select. What do you think EG needs to do to protect Jizuke and keep him in an aggressive position? Oh, okay, and now he goes. Or conversely, I could say, there's been a lot of discussion around EG and Jizuke specifically, how deep his champion pool is and how much carry potential he has outside of LeBlanc. Mark, any thoughts? Right? Boom, I just attach it to the end that time. So there are some small technical changes that can help, but you'll have noticed also tons of hiccups. We're talking over each other, right? And when that happens, that's an agreement we've made as a team. Like, one, don't think it's bad that people want to talk over each other. That shows passion and investment. Two, if people do talk over each other, sometimes it can be solved very quickly. One guy just steps back, the other guy goes. And three, you'll notice sometimes I jump in and go, hey, Mark first. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah.
All right, probably now to you, right? And so just having to be a little bit more directive in that sense at times. And again, I think that's buying into the idea that the circumstances are given. So we talk over each other. We don't make a big deal out of it. It happened. Mark, go ahead. You go first. Probably now you go. It would be worse, I think, if we tried to cover for that.
Yeah.
If we tried to ignore the fact that we just talked over each other and it get all wonky.
Yeah.
So there's a super long-winded answer to some of the adjustments I've had to make. There's plenty of adjustments we have a team have had to make.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I appreciate it. I think it's really interesting. Obviously the pros have a different job, but sometimes they practice that way, so maybe they're more familiar. And the casters have a different job. And, I know a lot of them use kind of nonverbal cues. I think Kobe is the one who's always talked about where he'll he'll put up his hand, say, I have a point, or oh, keep going, this is good, whatever. So it's just really interesting. And since the casters are dealing with one other person and you're like, I'm managing 3 people.
Yeah. Well, again, so a lot of that, and a lot of, I think, again, I'm lucky, grateful, whatever, that the systems we had in place in the studio, a lot of them still translate 1-to-1, right? And so when I approach a segment, I think it's a misconception that we use much of a script or a prompter. A prompter is used for maybe 5% of the entire show.
Okay.
The entire show. And granted, that 5% is 99% me, right? Because I'm generally the person who's giving info to the audience. Occasionally, a play-by-play guy will read something that's directly in the prompter. But a majority of our show is actually unscripted in the sense that lines are not written for anyone. We put bullet points in there based on topics, themes, players, stats, whatever it is that we want to talk about. And so our system is, hey, we're going to get the pregame. All right, Analyst Desk is going to do pregame for TSM TL. TSM TL. What points do you guys want to make? So Azael will jump in and he'll say, hey, I really want to talk about the bot lane matchup, blah, blah, blah. So we'll just go bullet point, bot lane matchup. And then we'll go, Mark goes, I'm super interested in draft, though, around the junglers, blah, blah, blah. So we go, boom, bullet point, jungle focus, draft or something like that. And then another bullet point for probably. So I just now have this list, this understanding of like, we as 4 have agreed these are the things we think are important about this matchup narratively or strategically. And these are the things we're willing and able and ready to talk about. Those are in a script. I have total agency to jump to any of them, to move to any of them. I mean, like, again, on the show, actually, what's funny is I have more freedom on this version of the show than on the studio version, because the studio version, we have more elements that come with it. Now we're working on the tech. We're trying to get this continued to level up. So hopefully you'll see more elements. But like week 1 of At Home, we had no graphics.
Nothing, yeah.
So I can do whatever I want because the graphics people are like, well, we don't have to cue something when he talks about the jungle matchup. So anyway, it gets more complicated when you're back in the studio. But therefore, I would say that in a lot of ways, like, we're serviced by the systems we already had in place. And then where we're at now is like we continue to follow those general guidelines. And for me, it's just about being prepped on the things they want to talk about. The only thing I care about is what my 3 experts on the desk want to talk about. If they're passionate about it, I want to hear about it, and let's get it into that bullet point format, and I'll find a way. And then a lot of it, it's just ad lib. It's just they say something, I go, oh, that'd be an interesting connector to get to that other point they want to make. So I'll jump in, hey, and on that topic, or hey, that doesn't connect. I just want to kind of see what somebody's response is to Mark's point there, and I want to keep going. I just fly by the seat of our pants, man. That's the name of the game with live broadcasting.
Yeah, well, it's been fun. I think your point earlier about just embracing the scuffiness, which I know everyone keeps talking about, and it's fun. The old stories. A lot of these people are doing it beforehand, just like this anyway.
What's crazy too is I wasn't a part of of broadcasting at that point. I joined season 4, midway through season 4 was when I had my first on air appearance, and we were in a full-on studio at that point. Not in our current one, but we were in a full-on studio. So this is a wild experience. I've done some minor streaming and stuff, but the idea of doing an LCS broadcast, a competitive event from my bedroom, what the heck? Yeah, it's a blast from the past in a lot of ways. Of what I used to watch. Yeah. Now I'm a part of, but I think it's cool. It's a lot of fun.
It's definitely cool. So you touched on it a second ago. When it comes to graphics, when it comes to the big segments that you started doing, are you able to? You kind of hinted at it. Are you able to get more into that now that you've had some practice?
We're getting back to that. It's a weekly process, and all of it is determined by what the tech allows, right? And so there was, again, I've done this every time someone's talked about it, but I cannot say it enough. All of the credit for the at-home broadcast goes to all of the people behind the scenes, all of the people you do not see who made this possible in a week's time.
Yeah.
It's absolutely mind-boggling to me that they were told, hey, in 7 days, we'd like to go ahead and just produce our show, but in a totally different way. And everyone has to be able to do it from their bedroom or their living room. And they got it done. But in order to do that, they had to build this massive priority list. And so boom, 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 100 bullet points. Step 1 is the game.
Yeah.
That's priority number 1. Yeah. Can we put the game out there with no casters, no anything? Could we just have the teams play the game with competitive integrity and put it out? Okay, we checked box 1. What's box 2? Having casters. Okay, now we can get 2 casters talking about the game with no cameras or anything. Great, we've checked that tech box. And they just moved down this priority list, and by week 1, oh my God, they had knocked so many out that we could even have a 4-box video included analyst desk and everything. Week 2, they were like, let's get some graphics in there. So that's when they started. Now you'll notice we had graphics in week 9, and they're even continuing to ramp up our graphical support. We had some B-roll and some elements roll. We had some replays starting to pick up, and we're going to continue to do that. I can make absolutely no promises, and that's the thing. That's the tough thing about this is because so much of it is they might tomorrow, or literally right now, right? They might be like, we found a tech solution for this thing, and we could add it to tomorrow's show. Right? We'll do it as soon as it's ready. And so a lot of it, again, is our prep meetings are throwing out ideas for if this is possible, we want to do it. If it's not, though, let's do this. If this isn't possible, let's do that. We've got to come up with versions of things. Mm-hmm. Whereas, maybe in the office, we could be like, let's do it this way because we know we have the tech. So I'd say that's one of the biggest limiters, but we got people grinding on it day in, day out to continue adding stuff. And our goal is that, every show or every week, because it'll probably be week by week, but week by week, you will see a better and better LCS broadcast all the way through finals. And hopefully we can impress even from our bedrooms for finals. We're hoping we can find a way to impress.
I think it's already been impressive.
Thank you.
If that counts.
I'll take it.
What about, do you have any plans for the stuff like the weekly wager, those types of things? Everybody's got to go to the store, buy some hot sauce.
So it's been brought up. I can tell you very much so that it's been brought up, and we are trying to come up with stuff. Again, the difficulty there is the payoff, right? Mm-hmm. And like, can we come up with something that everyone can get access to, right? If it was something that everyone had to go purchase, then we're asking for four guys to all go out and purchase something just on the, there's a lot of things to consider, but absolutely, that is something that has been brought up, and we're trying to come up with some options. Again, because of graphics, unfortunately, stock market didn't have as much follow through. It was followed up on Twitter, but we couldn't, on air. And so some of that is going to fall to the wayside, without a doubt. But with that, my hope is that maybe some new things are born.
Yeah.
They always say, like you give yourself, like confines or some restraints, and that's where like creativity really is born, right? Like when you put yourself in a box and you go, we have to do something via video chat, right? Like it has to work through this. Like maybe we'll come up with a weekly wager we would have never thought of. Maybe we'll come up with just a different segment that we would have never thought of in our, old digs. And so that's that's my hope. That's my positive outlook on the whole situation, is that it's already what I've seen out of the team is ingenuity across the board to even get to where we are now. So I'm hoping that ingenuity and that creativity keeps rolling forward. And maybe we come back summer split, we're back in the studio, and now we've got all these fun games to play that actually were designed because of this circumstance.
Yeah, that'd be really fun. It's been exciting seeing the progress. I know it's going to keep growing. We still got a couple more weeks, so we'll see what happens. Well,
hey, if you got any ideas or anyone out there has any ideas, we are very open. Hit us up on Twitter or whatever at LCS or me, Riot Dash. But like, just hit us up, because this is the time for people to throw ideas out there. We've already gotten a great number of good ideas from fans and viewers, who are invested in the quality of the product. And that's honestly, maybe even more so, the coolest thing about this whole experience is that I believe I've already known for so long how passionate our fan base is. It's obvious, the biggest esport in the world, and I've been to the arenas and I've gotten to experience that firsthand. But this is almost puts it on another level. When something can be hit this hard, when something can be sidelined like this, and an entire community rallies around it coming back and embraces that scuffness, but also looks to make it better in a positive and critical way, like that kind of response has been so cool to see.
Yeah, I imagine it's really cool for you as well on the other side. But even for me, like it is a pretty cool thing. There's a silver lining in all of this that we can continue, and we do. We get to see some pretty cool things out of it that we otherwise kind of do take for granted sometimes.
Without a doubt. And I think, if you go like one step further in that silver lining, it's like we're now also showing that value to people who didn't understand the value of what we do before this. There are so many people out there who are now understanding and or just not even understanding. They're giving the opportunity, or they're embracing esports as like, I didn't really understand what this was or why this existed, but because I'm stuck at home and all these other people derive value from it, I'm going to try and understand what that value is. And people are beginning to understand that value. And there's nothing more we could ask for in this situation than to say, like, this is an important thing. It's an important thing always, and in this time in particular, this is an important thing. I think this is what we're doing is more important right now than it was before. Providing entertainment, providing escapism, yes, to some degree, but also providing, community is such a wildly important thing when we as a people, as a society, are under immense stress, a duress, Not to get too philosophical about it.
No, I appreciate it. We're all a little bit more lonely right now, so it's nice.
We are, man. I've been making efforts to still get outside. I mean, with respecting all of the proper guidelines, going on walks, but like just doing a couple laps around my block, get that sunshine. That's still wildly important on top of my many hours of gaming. Too many hours of gaming.
You just got to play Pokemon Go while you're walking around.
And that's that's what I need. I need to re-download Pokemon Go. But it's been a trying time to say the least. But at the same time, it's been very motivating to have the people around me that I do, particularly in work. It's been inspiring the way the community has rallied around what we've tried to do and accomplish. So I feel very, very lucky to be in my position, to be working, to be invested in something, and to have my favorite sport still be active.
Yeah.
Right? Like, come on.
No,
I still
agree.
get to watch League.
Yeah.
Like, I could not be happier. So, anyway.
All right, so I want to ask a couple fun ones.
All right, let's go.
Who was the best at adapting? Or actually, who was the most excited? Who was like, hell yes, working from home, pajama pants?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Mark Z?
That's what I would guess. Yeah,
What you thought? I mean, it's funny. We've all. I know this is now going to elongate the answer, but it's
fine.
It's an interesting question because we've all had different things we love and different things we hate about it.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things we've talked about loving about it, this is a really simple thing. My bathroom's right there, and I don't have to leave the analyst desk and walk through a studio and do all this kind of stuff. Worry about a mic pack that's hooked to me, all this like. The ease of just like, I got to go to the restroom, I got to get a glass of water. I walk to my kitchen or I walk to my bathroom and boom, boom, boom. How nice it is. We have to be at the studio way earlier on studio days than we do for this.
Yeah.
So our call time for this is a lot later. So we get to sleep in. We get to kind of like, I show up, I'm still in my pajamas. I throw on my headset for tech check and all that kind of stuff right here. I finish that and then I go shower and get ready. I have to get up, get ready, and go to the studio before. So like some of that kind of prep time is nicer. Things that are tougher, we are on our home setups. And at the beginning of this, before we started this interview, guess what? If anything's on my second monitor, I'm going to be over it. So like we have to be so disciplined about where we're looking. And like during the show, you'll actually see me look this way, but that's because I actually have bullet points and different programs open because we have we use one program for voice, we use a different program for video, we use a different program for scripting, and we use so like we have and then I have the standings and the schedule and everything pulled up. So across so you'll see me do this, but more so for the games. Like if we're supposed to be watching the game, we're not on camera, but I'm supposed to be watching and figuring out what I want to talk about. But then over here, I'm like, let me check my email and on Twitter and do the thing. And this is that person's, what did they say? And then I get, and it's like, okay, I'm working. And like, so that home work separation becomes difficult. So without a doubt, there are certain aspects that are easier, certain aspects that are more difficult. Maybe Mark Z was the most happy about it. Funny that's where your head was at already. I'm trying to think. Otherwise, I guess one of the, you'd say like Freak, because of the old memes of Freak wearing like basketball shorts on the desk and everything. But, yeah.
Were there any grumpy dwarves?
I don't think anyone was too grumpy. Again, I think mostly because everyone just understood the necessity of it, right? Like no one was going to be like, oh, we should be doing this in the studio still. Like no one's going to make that case.
We've got hand sanitizer.
Right, yeah. I don't think anyone was really making that case.
So,
again, it's been an incredibly unifying moment where everyone has really rallied around this obstacle, right? This idea of, again, I mean, we've done so little of it, the casters, but as an example, like, and this is what I mean is so many other people are doing hard work, difficult work, important work that the first tech day, as an example, like we sat in a call. I think I was in a call for 10 hours, just sitting here for 10 hours, like not really doing, I was just sitting, just waiting for my turn, right? And letting guys mess with my audio and mess with my video. So I'd play a game and then they'd be like, but I just had to be here and be present, right? And like, everyone's willing to do that though, because the guy you're doing it for has worked way more hours and way harder than you did to sit there for, and let them do the checking. So it's just been a really, really eye-opening experience and cool, and everyone's been amazing about it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that.
My pleasure.
Back to random stuff. Who has the worst setup? Who is like, oh my God, this guy's computer yet again?
So,
or like, oh, your mic is not working again.
All right. Yeah, okay. So what's interesting, there's two prongs to this question. One, what you guys see is different than what we experience. So we are actually listening to each other through a program called Unity for voice. But the video and the audio and everything that you guys are seeing is not being pulled from Unity. So we're conversing with each other over Unity, but our audio is being pulled through a program called vMix. So the qualities are different. So sometimes someone will go super robot in Unity, but it'll sound perfect to the stream. So we're sitting here going like, I couldn't understand Mark. What did Mark just say? But the audience just heard it. So then they're like, why can't they understand what he's saying? So there's a lot of that stuff. I think I just talked myself in a circle. Oh, worst setup. Okay, so this is all to say that I think some of it is kind of dependent on what experience you're having or what program you're talking to them through. Because I would argue that probably had like just moved into his apartment. So there's like nothing on his walls. So visually,
I just moved yesterday.
I know, right?
Literally like one day ago.
You've at least put yourself in a corner. You got a door. There's a little bit of depth. But if you get a couple things up there on that white wall to create some depth, like that'll be great, right?
Yeah.
Probably same thing. That's what he's going to work on doing. But he literally just has like a white wall behind him and a big open space. So he just looks like he's in a warehouse. So his looks probably, I think, the funniest or the worst, whatever. And then I would argue that maybe Crumb's audio-wise, and his audio isn't bad when he's speaking, but his audio, it picks up everything that he does. So like he'll like go to the kitchen and we'll hear like clank, 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 crash, clank, 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 and we're like, oh, Crumbs is making lunch, and like we can, but he's like across the apartment, and his mic will pick it up perfectly. So his is just a hilarious audio situation.
So funny.
That's probably that. I mean, I think if you look from a tech standpoint, then I think there's maybe some other people. I think Kobe had some issues like tech wise, so engineers had to like really work on some technical fixes for him, for example. But I think we've all gotten pretty leveled up as well. We've got some people who had like lesser webcams got upgraded. Some people got new mics. Lights are being delivered again. Like we're working on it. Secret Labs gave me this LCS chair.
That's nice.
Broadcast. I was like, hell yeah, send that my way. So they're helping us. They're helping us whip the all the spaces into shape. We had our lighting guy Arnold, brilliant lighting designer. Did one-on-one sessions with all of us for our at-home setups to help us change our lights and then decide what lights to buy and send us. So those haven't arrived yet. So you're seeing my lighting setup before what he's ordered me has arrived. I'm a little hot over here and shiny. But like we've worked on a lot of that and it's just been it's just so cool to see all these people come together and like, let's make this as polished as we can.
It'll be a fun experience to think back on in a few years when hopefully, we don't have to ever go back to this. But
right. Yeah. I mean, it'll be an interesting spot in LCS history to reflect on in the future.
Really quickly, and this was not at all planned, but now you brought it up, Jat talked about an asterisk, God, can't pronounce, split. Like, will we remember this as something that counts differently than before? And you don't have to go super long-winded, but...
me, if you ask me a question, you got a solid 5 minutes. Here's the thing. I hope that it doesn't have an asterisk. And I would contest that it shouldn't. I think that's an improper line of thinking. That in competition, again... The only thing that's changed here, really, it's not like we changed the game. I'd say it'd be one thing if we changed the circumstance. Because of this, the game itself had to be different. Okay, maybe we put an asterisk because the court got smaller. You know, like we can only play indoor soccer now instead of outdoor soccer. So the field's smaller. Oh, I would say it has an asterisk. Now they're not playing the same game. Our guys are playing the same game. So don't give me this bull crap. about how it's not impressive that Cloud9 did what they did. And you know what? If teams if players want to slack, if they want to lose their competitive drive, that's on them. But that doesn't make what Cloud9 achieves any less impressive. It doesn't mean that their 17-1 is less impressive because it was done partially at home, or that their finals is less impressive. Contrast that to the feeling, right? And that I understand of having an asterisk, because the feeling, not being in an arena in Texas when Team X wins, Cloud9 or other, and hoists that trophy and 15,000 or however many thousand people, I don't know what that arena sat, are cheering and clapping and losing their minds, and the confetti's, flying, and we're all jumping up and down together, and like that won't be there. So some of that that pomp and circumstance and celebration, that won't be there. But I don't think that there's an asterisk by the split. If there's an asterisk by the split, and again, I don't think there should be, I think it's more likely to be there because of this dumb TL should have been better.
Yeah.
That's what people are going to be like, well, they never got challenged. And I'm going to be like, that's not on Cloud9. It is not Cloud9's responsibility to make other teams play better.
Mm-hmm.
That is their responsibility, right? Cloud9 had a dominant season, smashed the LCS, and they did it from their bedrooms and their PJs. Good on them. They're still better league players than you.
Yeah,
that's what matters. They proved, right? They proved that they were better league players. I don't mean than you.
Yeah, I was like, they're way better than me. I might be wearing blue, but
way better than all of us. But I mean, like, they're better than everyone else in the league, and they're the best team in the LCS. And I will come into the summer split putting the same amount of weight on a finals victory for Cloud9 that I would for TL's fourth. Well, their fourth championship has a different weight, being the fourth repeated. But in sense of,
last summer.
Exactly. The last summer championship is just as relevant as this summer or this spring championship. And that's the way I would look at every split. And that's the mindset I think a true competitor has. They're not worried about the circumstance. They want to compete, they want to win, they want to prove they're the best. So they'll overcome the circumstance of having to work from home, and they will win, and they will perform on the day. So
yeah, well, that was a pretty short-winded answer.
Take it. Medium-winded.
Yeah. No, thank you. I think that's. What
do you think on
insightful.
that? I'm actually curious to get more takes on that. Do you think there's an asterisk? Because maybe I'm on the outside of that opinion.
I agree with you that I don't think we should value it any less. I do think. I guess I agree with you as well. I think the feel of it is just weird. It's just, it doesn't feel as valuable. So I think we should focus on, no, it is as valuable. It is. It doesn't feel like it though. So I think it's going to be tough, and I think it's something that we'll probably wrestle with.
Right.
But I do agree. I think
maybe it's a good way to bring it full circle to the very first thing we talked about, which is accepting the circumstance, right? Like, we accept the circumstance that it's just not going to feel as cool. It's not going to feel as cool as winning in an arena and walking across the stage and holding the trophy and having thousands of fans losing their minds. Okay, it's not going to feel as cool. But exactly what you said. But that doesn't change, right, the value of it. It doesn't change that this is still the LCS. It's the LCS at home, but it's still the LCS. So we'll embrace the scuffiness. We'll embrace the lack of audience and arena and, grandeur. But we're going to celebrate what was amazing League of Legends and top-tier gameplay from, true competitors.
Yeah, I like it. There was one other question I had, and I just got lost in thinking through all of this.
Oh, actually, I'm late for a meeting right now.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
No rush. It's just a stupid story meeting about the LCS.
Oh, there you go.
They'll totally understand.
There are no stories.
That I had an interview, right? Yeah.
No, we're all at home. That's the story.
Who do you think takes the quarterfinals? Well, it's weird calling them quarterfinals.
It is.
Now we got the double elim, but who do you think takes the games? You've got Cloud9 versus 100, and then Fly versus EG.
I think Cloud9 should win. I think 100 Thieves is probably being undervalued because they went like 9-3 or 7-3 or something in the last.
They had an incredible back half of the split. Incredible back half, yeah. I
just don't see anyone beating Cloud9 right now.
I don't either.
So unless something changed, then cool, that'd be great. Yeah. But
I would call Cloud9 EG for the first two victories.
I would call EG as well. I think FlyQuest looked great for most of the first 2/3 and has looked less than convincing since then.
Yes, definitely. Well, the top lane issues, and I actually have high hopes for Solo, but I kind of wish they didn't put him in, then take him out for that one game.
Yeah,
right. Just like I wish they would have just left him in to close out those final few games, and not put Viper in for that one. But
I agree, except maybe now they know.
True, right? And that's what we were kind of theorizing was like, look, if they're putting Viper in as their like one final hurrah of like, show us what you got because we're making our decision for who's coming to the postseason with us, and then brought Soul back in. Okay, maybe that solidified, the decision in their mind. All right, I'll cut them some slack for the decision making process. But I think in my head, after the first two games from Soul, I was like, leave them in.
Yeah,
leave them in.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. But I know they were also splitting scrims, so I don't know if. if that was, maybe that was the last chance, and
played into it a bit.
And maybe it's not. Maybe they still are splitting. I have no idea.
That's true. They can always they go down in a series. They pull out Viper, get that Riven.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. As far as the losers bracket, though, I feel like TSM should win. I think TSM should be second if they perform at their top.
I think most pundits would agree with you.
And
if they're at their peak, I think they are the second best team. But they've shown the most inconsistency of the top six.
Because actually the other four, excluding Cloud9 and TSM, the other four have been decently consistent. Yeah. It's just EG was consistently bad.
Yeah, and maybe FlyQuest I would say is somewhat inconsistent because I think, like you said, EG, 100 Thieves, and Golden Guardians all had much better back halves. Yeah. So they've ramped up and have become consistent. It's FlyQuest and TSM that have kind of waffled. So those are my worries there. But again, they have high ceilings. So we'll see. I just don't want a 3-0 finals. Can I just request that? Can I get a 3-1 or a 3-2? That's all I want.
I think the best chance for a not 3-0 final is probably TSM Cloud9. Or if Cloud9 is to make it, which I assume they will, I would imagine it would be TSM.
Yeah, I think.
I don't know.
I could see. So I would say I would imagine. I think TSM is a good choice. Obviously, they were the only team to take a win off of Cloud9. But their play style, I do think they have the ability to kind of put up a wall every once in a while and slow the game down. Otherwise, I would say it's EG. I think that has the opportunity to do something. 100 Thieves, I worry about because they have close games or they have games where they're in deficits, and they can win against worse teams, but I don't think if you have a deficit against Cloud9 that you're going to pull that back. So that's why I would say TSM and EG are probably the two that have the best opportunity.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think EG, especially with what Jizuke has been doing recently, I mean, he was controlling side lanes as a Malzahar, like both at the same time. Yeah. Like I don't know if it's because he's just the most recent import from Europe, but his ability to get out of the mid lane as a mid laner is pretty refreshing.
Super impressive. I'm so happy that he's popping off. A number of our imports this year have popped off. Jizuke stepping up. FBI. I know he wasn't a this year import, a last year import, but he's been improving and surprising. I've been impressed by Ryoma. I was not high on that pick. I was like, I don't have high hopes for this, and I don't think he's a top performing mid laner by any means, but he has outperformed my expectation for a rookie import in his first split. So to see Closer, I think Closer's played solid. I want to see a little bit more. I want to see that summer lineup for Golden Guardians.
So I guess technically we're allowed to talk about it, and I know you need to leave. But All Pro has been announced. I think it's already released live.
Did it get announced? I haven't seen it yet.
You don't even know.
This is breaking news. Well, I voted, and we were talking about it yesterday in the meeting. But our stats people wouldn't give us the results. They were like, no, you have to wait like everyone else. But
that's so funny. Because we had the embargo on it, of course.
That's so funny. So I actually haven't looked yet. Is it all Cloud9 across the top?
It's Cloud9 across the top, which I disagree. I think Licorice was great, but I think Someday and Broken Blade probably
those are my top three. I think I did go Licorice first. And part of that is because it's hard to ignore a 17-1 dominant split. And you have to imagine that there's ability in there. His laning stats are still fantastic. And the reason why I'm willing to forgive maybe statistically poorer performances in a couple cases for Licorice is because of the champion pool experimentation. If you're going to pull out things like Callista and you're going to pull out these picks that no one else in the league has played, I'll spot you a little bit of stats for the creativity and the success. Now, if you're pulling it out, it's not working. You don't get points for creativity because it's not working. But if it's working, that's where I'm like, again, it's hard to take something away from a guy who's only lost one game. What more did you want Licorice to do, right? And again, I think that's not the fairest framing because it is just which player is a better top laner, right? So I'm caveating my own statements. Saying it's not the fairest of framings, but it's one of the ways in which I look at it. And then I look at stats and eyeball tests and all that kind of stuff. So I think Someday was number 2 for me.
I put Broken Blade first. And I don't know, this may be a thing where it's like best mid, this person, but MVP is this person who is behind them because what they did for the team, whatever.
Right. I would argue that Broken Blade is a more important top laner than Licorice.
Yes.
Right? I would agree with that point, that Broken Blade is more important to TSM success
than
currently
Licorice
than Licorice
to
is to
Cloud9.
C9s. And that I align with. But again, if I'm just trying to isolate which one of them is the better top laner, I think one of the best ways, and Mark says this a lot, is just like if I'm building a team, which top laner do I want?
Mm-hmm.
I want Licorice.
That's fair.
And if I don't want Licorice, I want Someday. And if I don't want Someday, then I want Broken Blade. And again, like Broken Blade's got the pop-offs. He's got some pop-offs, and he's definitely a win condition for TSM, but he's still inconsistent enough that I don't want to build a team around.
That's fair. I would say, though, to your point earlier about Licorice, Broken Blade had the Kiana. Like, he had these other games.
True.
He actually, until, I think, was it Set, the first champion he played twice? And that was like or that was like game 8 or 9 or 10 or something.
And
like
his set is gross. Broken Blade set is incredible.
Yeah.
He might be the best top lane set we have in the league. Actually, I can say that confidently. Yeah. He's the best top lane set we have in the league. So he's no slouch. But yeah, okay, here it is. First team, all Cloud9. It makes sense to me. So I'll have to go read this article to see the rest of it. But I don't think that's going to surprise a ton of people. Yeah. What I do think is cool is that second and third team are way more jumbled up than they've been in the past.
That's true.
A lot of times it's literally like first, second, and third team are the first team, the second team, and the third team with maybe like that one time Santorin crept in there from fourth place. Mm-hmm. We have 3 FlyQuest players. We have Closer in second. We have 200 Thieves players. We have 2 TSM players, and then all of Cloud9. Yeah. But you've got a little bit more variety, and I think that that's cool. Also speaks to the unpredictability and the wonkiness of the season, and how Cloud9 was so dominant and everyone else was, so close.
My biggest question mark was FBI and Xmithy. I felt like FBI for his team, they don't make it without him. And I think he was pretty undervalued this year. And Xmithy, I know they didn't make playoffs. However, I think when that team won, so much of it was from him. And I think when they lost, maybe half of their losses, it was him just like, please do something.
I had Xmithy, I think, fourth on my list. I was considering for a while putting him third. I just couldn't since they didn't make playoffs. That was a lot of it. I was like, if they make it into playoffs, I can make the argument for him. If they don't make it, that's why I was like, I think Santorin is better. So he was a tough one, but I totally agree. Xmithy was solid. And then I do agree that FBI, again, very, very good. He probably would have been fourth on my list here behind Cody, Bang, and Sven. That was those were my 3. So
anyway,
it's a cool votes this year.
It's fun. That's a good point, though. They're much more mixed up.
Yeah.
Well, I let you go. I know you got a meeting. Thank you so much for talking. I still never remember that other question.
Whatever.
That's fine.
DM me when you think of it.
All right, I will.
It's interesting enough. But thank you so much for the interview, taking the time, and I should actually extend my thank you to everyone behind the scenes. Extends to all of you, content creators, because I know that this transition probably isn't easy for most of you. Granted, you do some remote stuff occasionally, but like in general, I know that this is not easy for anyone. And so it's, again, so cool to see the entire journalistic community rally around this as well and say, hey, we're going to figure it out. Ashley Kang doing her interviews, and Travis Gafford as well. And then you Parks. And so it's just like, you know what? Hell yeah, I love it. Let's get some posters on that wall or something.
I will.
But hell yeah, like, just thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you. I really appreciate it. And for all of you watching, thank you so much as well. For more Inven Global content, please like and subscribe below, and we will catch you next time.
See ya.